My sister texted me, "That place is only for rich people. Don't come to my party." That night, the text came in at 6:12 p.m. while I was standing over my kitchen sink rinsing rice. "Maya, that place is only for rich people. Don't come to my party." No hello, no emoji. Just that. I dried my hands on a towel and read it twice, like the words might change if I stared long enough. The rice kept running cloudy under the water. Outside my window, the winter light had the flat, early dark look it gets in January. I set the bowl down and checked the calendar on my phone. Saturday. The date circled in my mind because I'd been invited weeks ago in our family group chat when my sister announced she'd found the perfect venue.
Maya didn't say it was her birthday.
She said it was her rebrand night. That was her language lately. Rebrand. Soft launch. Elevate. She posted a screenshot of a reservation confirmation with the restaurant name cropped out. Under it, she wrote, "Dress code? Upscale. No drama." I'm serious. My mother reacted with 3 heart emojis. My aunt replied, "So proud of you, Beta." My cousin wrote, "I'll bring my camera." I didn't react at all. I sent Maya a private message asking what time. She replied an hour later, 8. "You'll know the place." Now I knew the place. I stared at her message until the screen dimmed. Then I tapped her name and scrolled up through our chat thread. There it was, from 2 weeks earlier, at 10:03 p.m. Maya, of course you're coming.
It's family. I took a screenshot.
Not because I planned a confrontation. Not because I thought a screenshot was a weapon. Because experience had taught me that when Maya wanted something, she remembered conversations perfectly. When she didn't, she acted like they never happened. I put my phone face down on the counter and went back to rinsing the rice until the water ran clear. I wasn't shocked, just calibrated. Maya and I were 2 years apart. Same father, same mother, same apartment, until we were both old enough to leave it. She'd always been louder, quicker, better at saying things with a smile that made people laugh even when the joke had teeth. At family dinners, she narrated the room. At weddings, she found the photographer. At funerals, she somehow ended up being the one people remembered. I was the one people forgot to include, then apologized to later in a soft voice. "Oh, I assumed you wouldn't want to come." It started small, being left off invitations, being introduced as my sister without my name, being asked to move out of photos because you're not really dressed for it. Then it became normal. I'd learned a long time ago that reacting gave Maya what she wanted: a story, a scene, proof that she was the composed one and I was the difficult one. So I made different choices. I worked in a back office role at a mid-sized financial services firm, not glamorous, not visible, but stable. I handled reconciliations, compliance paperwork, vendor audits, things that had to be correct because mistakes were expensive. People in my department respected me because I didn't raise my voice. I didn't panic. I checked everything twice. I kept records. Maya, on the other hand, lived out loud. She'd tried 3 different businesses in a year, reselling skincare, then curating luxury handbags, then helping people with personal branding, which was mostly filming them drinking matcha in sunlight. She moved into a condo she couldn't afford with a roommate she called my creative partner. She posted photos from places with velvet ropes and minimal lighting, tagging locations like secrets. Our mother believed the posts. She believed the captions. She believed the version of Maya that stood angled slightly toward the camera, one hand on her hip, smile like a stamp of approval. I didn't argue with my mother about it anymore. It didn't help. But the party mattered for a reason Maya didn't understand. 3 days before, our father had called me. He hadn't called in months. He wasn't a warm person. Even as a kid, I remembered him more like a presence than a father. Quiet authority, heavy footsteps, the smell of aftershave when he leaned close to correct you. He and my mother divorced when I was in college. After that, he kept contact minimal. Birthday texts, eyed messages, the occasional phone call when he needed something. This time, his voice had been unusually measured. "I'm coming to your sister's event," he said. I held my phone between shoulder and ear while staring at a spreadsheet on my laptop. "Okay, it's at the Harbor Room." So the restaurant name finally had a shape. The Harbor Room was one of those places people talked about as if it were a country. Reservations hard to get. Jackets required. The kind of place where the menu didn't have prices. "Maya didn't tell me," I said. "She didn't have to," he replied. "I'm family." Then, after a pause, "You'll be there. Yes, I said, because saying no would have led to another conversation, and I didn't have energy for conversations with my father that felt like instructions. He continued as if he were reading from a script. I have something to discuss. About the trust. I didn't move. My cursor blinked in an empty cell. What trust? I asked. The one your grandmother left, he said. It was meant to be settled when you both turned 28. Your sister is making it complicated. You're steady. I'd like to speak with you before I make any decisions. My grandmother died when I was 14. She was the only one in our family who ever looked directly at me when I talked. She used to press folded bills into my hand and say, "Put it away. Don't tell anyone." I never asked for money. I never told anyone. I'd assumed it was just grandmother things. Small, quiet kindness. A trust wasn't small. Okay, I said. Be presentable, my father added like he couldn't help himself. I always am. That earned a small, dismissive sound. Then he ended the call. Afterward, I sat at my desk and looked up Harbor Room, out of habit, not curiosity. The website showed a private dining section called the Lantern Suite. It listed event minimums. My stomach had stayed level as I read them, the way it does when I'm filing expense reports and something doesn't match. If Maya was paying for this, it wasn't with money she'd earned. And if my father planned to discuss a trust at her rebrand night, she was going to perform. Maya's message, "Don't come," arrived like a door quietly closing. Not because she didn't want me there. Because she did want to control who saw what. I turned my phone back over, opened our family group chat, and scanned the messages. Maya had posted the dress code again that morning. "Black tie vibes, don't embarrass me," my mother wrote. "Your sister is doing something classy for once. Please support her." There was no mention of me. No one asked if I was coming. That was also normal. At 6:41 p.m., another text from Maya appeared. "Maya, seriously, it's not your scene. You'll feel uncomfortable and then you'll ruin my night." The sentence was designed to sound like concern, but I knew my sister. She didn't care about my comfort. She cared about her images. I tapped her name again, scrolled, and took a screenshot of that message too. Then I texted back one line. "Me. Understood." I didn't add punctuation. I didn't ask why. I didn't argue. I didn't give her anything to twist. I set the phone down and finished cooking dinner. Lentils, rice. The kind of meal that made the apartment smell like cumin and normal life. While it simmered, I went to my closet. My wardrobe was mostly work clothes, button-downs, neutral pants. One suit I wore for audit presentations. I never owned anything black tie, but I did own a simple black dress I'd worn to a colleague's engagement dinner. It fit well, modest neckline, clean lines, nothing flashy. I hung it on the closet door. Then I checked my bank app. Not because I needed to, because I liked having facts in front of me. Maya's words, "rich people," were a warning. The Harbor Room was expensive. Valet, parking, coat check. A night designed to separate people. If Maya planned to humiliate me at the door, she'd do it in a way that looked like the restaurant's fault. She'd shrug and say, "I tried to tell you." She would do it with a smile, the kind people mistook for kindness. I ate dinner slowly, cleaned the kitchen, and set a small notebook on my desk. In it, I wrote a timeline, the way I would for an internal audit. 2 weeks ago, Maya invites family in group chat. 3 days ago, father calls, says he will attend Harbor Room, mentions trust, asks me to be there. Today, 6:12 p.m., Maya texts, "Don't come." Today, 6:41 p.m., Maya claims I will ruin her night. I attached the screenshots to an email draft addressed to myself and saved it without sending. My work brain didn't like keeping evidence only on a phone. Phones break. Messages disappear. At 7:15 p.m., my mother called. I let it ring twice before answering. "Where are you?" she asked immediately. "At home." "Why?" Her tone made the word sharp. "We're getting ready, ma'am." Said, "You're being difficult." I looked at the small notebook. Facts, not feelings. Maya told me not to come. Silence. Then my mother exhaled as if I'd made something tedious. "She didn't mean it like that. She's stressed. You know how she is." "I know what she said," I replied. My mother softened. "Beta, please, don't make a point. People will ask, 'Your father is coming.' I'm aware." Another pause. "So come. Wear something nice. Sit quietly. Support your sister, it's one night." The pressure in her voice wasn't about family. It was about appearances. The idea of someone noticing a missing person in a photo. "I'll handle it," I said. "What does that mean?" "It means you don't need to worry." My mother didn't like that answer. She liked details she could control. "Don't do anything embarrassing," she warned. "I won't." After I hung up, I sat for a minute without moving. This wasn't about a party. It was about Maya needing to curate a room where every person present made her look elevated. I was a variable she didn't want, and my father mentioning a trust, something my grandmother left, was a loose thread Maya didn't want anyone pulling. I stood, ironed the black dress carefully, and placed it on the bed with simple heels. At 7:58 p.m., I sent one more email to myself with the screenshots attached and the timeline written out, then archived it in a folder labeled Family. My phone buzzed again at 8:03 p.m., a new message from Maya. "Maya, if you show up, don't talk to Dad about anything. He's here for me." I stared at that line, the possessiveness in it, the certainty. I didn't answer. I just took another screenshot. Then I picked up my coat, my keys, and my small notebook and walked out into the cold. I didn't rush. I didn't rehearse arguments. I didn't plan a scene. I ordered a rideshare, chose the option that showed the route and fare estimate, and saved the receipt automatically when the trip began, because habits are hard to break. As the car pulled away from my building, my phone lit up with another notification. A group chat message. Maya had posted a selfie in dramatic lighting, champagne flute raised. "Maya, we made it, lantern suite. Only people who belong." I looked out the window at the passing streetlights and let my breathing stay even. I was already on my way, and I wasn't going there to belong. I was going there to listen. The harbor room's entrance was a bright rectangle ahead, valet attendants moving like they owned the sidewalk. The driver slowed at the curb. My phone buzzed one more time, a number I didn't recognize. "Unknown. You should come upstairs before you walk in. She's telling people you weren't invited." I didn't respond immediately. I saved the message. Then I paid the driver, stepped out into the cold, and closed the car door with the same careful pressure I used when closing a file that mattered. The valet glanced at me, then at the entrance, as if deciding whether to greet me. I adjusted my coat collar, held my posture steady, and started toward the door. Inside, warm light spilled onto the pavement. Somewhere upstairs, my sister was already writing the story of why I wasn't there, and I was about to enter at the exact moment she decided I wouldn't. I reached for the handle. The elevator doors closed with a muted click, sealing off the noise from the lobby below. The lantern suite button was already lit. Someone had pressed it recently. I stood alone, hands relaxed at my sides, watching the numbers rise. My reflection in the brushed metal didn't look dramatic, just composed, clean lines, neutral expression. When the doors opened, sound reached me first. Laughter layered over music, glasses touching, a practiced hum of confidence. The lantern suite was arranged like a showroom pretending to be a party, low amber lighting. A long marble bar, tall windows overlooking the harbor, the city lights arranged conveniently behind anyone standing near them. Maya had chosen well. The room made people look important. I stepped out and paused near the entrance, letting my eyes adjust. No one noticed me immediately. That, too, was familiar. I scanned the room the way I would scan a balance sheet, looking for discrepancies. My mother stood near a high-top table, clutching her purse with both hands, eyes darting. My aunt and cousin were already taking photos near the windows. Two men in tailored jackets I didn't recognize were laughing too loudly at something Maya had said. And Maya, my sister, stood at the center of it all, holding court near the bar. She wore a fitted ivory dress and heels that looked expensive but unfamiliar. Her hair was styled in loose waves that took time. Her laugh landed on cue, her body angled toward whoever mattered most in the moment. I didn't approach her. I walked to the coat check instead. The attendant took my coat without comment. No raised eyebrow, no whispered judgment. The fear Maya had planted, that I'd be stopped at the door, didn't materialize. The harbor room didn't care who I was. They cared about reservations and payment methods. I took a glass of sparkling water from the bar and stood near the edge of the room, close enough to hear, far enough not to be seen as part of any group. That's when I noticed my father. He stood near the windows, posture straight, hands clasped behind his back like he was inspecting something he might purchase. He hadn't seen me yet. Maya was positioned carefully between him and the rest of the room, laughing, touching his arm, steering him away from certain conversations. I watched her do it twice. She was managing him. The unknown number from earlier texted again. Unknown. She told your mom you had work and couldn't make it. I recognize the number now. My cousin Lena. She must have borrowed someone's phone. I replied calmly. Me, thank you. I'm here. A pause. Then, unknown. Where? Me, by the bar. Don't say anything. I put my phone away. Maya spotted me seconds later. I saw it happen in real time, the moment her eyes found mine. The flicker, the recalculation. Her smile didn't drop, but it changed shape, tightening at the corners as if she were holding it in place. She excused herself from the man she'd been speaking to and walked toward me, heels precise against the floor. When she reached me, she leaned in and kissed the air near my cheek. "What are you doing here?" she whispered, still smiling. "I was invited," I replied quietly. Her jaw set for a fraction of a second. "I told you not to come. I understood you," I said. "I didn't agree." Her fingers tightened around her champagne flute. "You're going to embarrass me. I haven't spoken to anyone yet. That's not the point." She glanced around, checking who might be watching. "Dad is here for me, not for whatever you think this is." I didn't say anything. She lowered her voice further. "You don't belong in this room." I met her eyes. "I'm already in it." For a moment, I thought she might push it, raise her voice, draw attention. But Maya never lost control in public. She smiled wider instead. "Fine," she said brightly, loud enough for others to hear. "Get a drink. Mingle. Just don't make tonight about you." She turned and walked away without waiting for an answer. I stayed where I was. From across the room, I watched her slide seamlessly back into performance mode. Within minutes, she had repositioned herself so that her back was to me, physically blocking my presence from my father's line of sight. It was almost impressive. I didn't move to correct it. Instead, I observed. The longer I stood there, the clearer the pattern became. Maya introduced certain guests to my father with exaggerated pride. "This is my friend Daniel. He works in private equity. This is Nina. She curates for brands you'd recognize." Others she gently redirected away from him. Every few minutes, she checked her phone. I checked mine too. At 8:34 p.m., a notification from my bank appeared. A routine alert, large pending charge. I tapped it open without thinking. $7,850, harbor room, pending. My breathing didn't change, but my focus sharpened. I opened my banking app fully and stared at the charge. It wasn't from my account, it was from an account I recognized. My grandmother's trust had been partially liquidated years ago to cover administrative costs. That's what my father had said at the time. The remainder had been placed into a managed account with limited access, an account Maya was not supposed to have access to. I didn't jump to conclusions. I didn't assume. I opened the transaction details. The card used ended in 0427. I knew that number. 2 months earlier, Maya had asked me to review a sample budget for a brand event she claimed she was planning for a client. She'd sent screenshots of expenses, including a card number partially visible at the bottom of a receipt. I'd told her it didn't add up. She'd laughed and said, "Details are your thing, not mine." I opened my photo gallery and scrolled back, found the screenshot, zoomed in, 0427. I took a screenshot of the pending charge and attached it to the email thread I'd started earlier. Then I forwarded the email to a cloud folder I used for work backups. Receipts don't mean much alone. Patterns do. I stayed another 30 minutes listening without appearing to. Maya grew more confident as the room filled. Her voice carried. Her stories got bigger. At one point I heard her say, "I've always been the responsible one." I almost smiled. My father finally noticed me at 9:12 p.m. He was mid-conversation when his eyes shifted past Maya's shoulder and landed on me. His expression changed. Not surprise, more like irritation at an unexpected variable. He excused himself and walked toward me. "You came," he said. "Yes." "Maya said you couldn't." "I can speak for myself." He studied me for a moment, then nodded toward a quieter corner near the windows. "We'll talk later." Maya appeared instantly as if summoned by tension. "Dad, you have to meet." "In a moment," he said, not unkindly but firm. Her smile faltered. She glanced at me, eyes sharp. "What's this about?" "Nothing," I said, "yet." She laughed too loudly. "You're being weird." "I'm being patient." Her phone buzzed. She looked at it, then at me, suspicion creeping in. "Did you pay for anything tonight?" No. Good, she said quickly, because I handled it, obviously. Obviously. She walked away again, heels clicking faster this time. I stayed until 9:47 p.m., long enough to hear the harbor room manager quietly confirm payment details with Maya, long enough to see her sign something on a tablet without reading it, long enough to watch her dismiss him with a wave when he asked about the remaining balance. I didn't intervene. I didn't warn her. At 9:52 p.m., I said goodbye to my mother, who looked relieved and confused in equal measure. I nodded to my father and told him we could talk another time. He didn't argue. In the elevator down, my phone buzzed again. A new email alert. Subject, trust account, activity notification. I opened it. There it was. A finalized charge. Not just the harbor room. 3 other transactions over the past 6 months. Boutique hotels, private dining rooms, a consulting fee paid to a business registered under a name I recognized, Maya's creative partner. I forwarded the email to the same folder. Outside, the cold air felt cleaner. I didn't go home right away. I walked along the harbor for 10 minutes, letting the facts settle into place. Maya hadn't just excluded me from a party, she'd been excluding me from information, from money, from decisions that weren't hers to make, and she'd grown careless enough to do it publicly. Back at my apartment, I laid everything out on my desk. Screenshots, emails, dates. I didn't label it evidence, I labeled it records. At 11:18 p.m., Maya texted me. Maya, we need to talk. Tomorrow. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my laptop and drafted a neutral email to my father. Subject, trust account discrepancies. I attached nothing. I wrote only, I noticed several recent transactions connected to the trust account. I believe we should review them together before anything further happens. I am available this week. I sent it and closed my laptop. Maya had wanted a room where only certain people belonged. She'd created it, and now she'd done something irreversible inside it. The key wasn't the money, it was the timing. Because 2 days later, my father replied, and his message changed everything. My father's reply came at 6:04 a.m., earlier than he usually wrote, which told me he hadn't slept well. Subject, trust account discrepancies. We will discuss this in person. Do not confront your sister. I will handle it. I read the email once, then again. He didn't deny anything. He didn't ask what I'd seen. He didn't request clarification. He already knew, I replied with one sentence. Understood. Then I went to work. Routine mattered. I processed invoices, flagged an internal inconsistency, joined a compliance call where someone else took notes badly and thanked me later for correcting them quietly. By lunch, I'd added 3 more timestamps to my personal timeline, not because anything new had happened, but because absence can be data too. Maya didn't call that day. She posted. By noon, her social feeds were full of carefully edited photos from the Lantern Suite, candles, glassware, city lights, captions about new chapters and earned rooms. In one photo, my father stood beside her, unsmiling, cropped close enough that his expression could be interpreted as pride if you didn't know him. I saved the post. At 2:17 p.m., she tagged a local lifestyle page. At 2:41, a comment appeared asking how she'd funded the event. She replied, years of planning, discipline. I didn't interact. I didn't correct her. That evening, my father called. Come by on Saturday, he said. Your mother will be there. Where? My house. I almost laughed. He hadn't called it that in years. It had always been the place or my address. Using the word house meant formality, a setting. What about Maya? I asked. She'll come, he said. She always does. I noted the date, Saturday. 4 days away. Do you want me to bring anything? I asked. Bring whatever you have, he said. Then, after a pause, and say nothing until I ask. I wasn't planning to. He exhaled, long and controlled. Good. After the call, I opened my folder again. The records were clean, chronological, boring in the way facts are boring until they're not. What I didn't have was context. So I started looking for it. Maya had mentioned her creative partner often enough that the name felt familiar. I searched the business registry after dinner, not expecting much. What I found was precise. The LLC had been formed 8 months earlier, single member. Registered address, Maya's condo. The consulting fees paid from the trust account were categorized as event strategy. Total amount over 6 months, $62,400. I didn't screenshot the whole thing. I exported the filing and saved it as a PDF. Receipts should be readable by people who don't want to read them. On Thursday, Maya finally called. I watched the phone ring until it stopped. She called again 10 minutes later. Then she texted, "Maya, why are you acting like this?" I didn't answer. At 8:22 p.m., she tried a different angle. "Maya, Dad is being weird. Did you say something?" Still no response. At 9:01, the message that mattered arrived. "Maya, this is family. Don't do this." I took a screenshot and added it to the folder. Friday morning, my mother came by my apartment unannounced. She sat at my kitchen table and didn't touch the tea I poured. Her hands stayed folded in her lap, knuckles tight. "Your sister is very upset," she said. "I know. She says you're trying to ruin her." "I'm not trying to do anything." My mother leaned forward. She worked hard for that night. I met her eyes. "Do you know how she paid for it?" Her face tightened. "She has opportunities. Do you know where the money came from?" Silence. "I don't want details," my mother said finally. "I want peace. I want accuracy." "That's the same thing," she insisted. "It isn't," I replied. She stood abruptly. "Your father is already angry. Why are you adding to it?" "I didn't add anything," I said calmly. "I noticed it." She left without saying goodbye. Saturday came quickly. I dressed simply, not defensively. Neutral colors, no jewelry except a watch my grandmother had given me when I graduated. When I arrived at my father's house, Maya's car was already in the driveway. Inside, the living room had been arranged like a meeting space, chairs angled inward, papers stacked on the coffee table. My father sat upright, glasses on, reading something printed. Maya stood near the window, arms crossed, foot tapping. My mother sat stiffly on the couch. No one spoke until I sat down. My father looked up. "You brought records?" "Yes." "Give them to me." I placed the folder on the table without comment. He flipped through it slowly. No reaction, no commentary. Just pages turning, one after another. Maya watched him, eyes darting, her confidence eroding by degrees. "This is incomplete," she said finally. "You don't understand how these things work." My father didn't look at her. "You will speak when I ask." She flushed. He reached the last page and closed the folder. Then he looked at me. "You said nothing to her," he said. "No?" He nodded once, then turned to Maya. "You used restricted funds without authorization," he said. "You misrepresented expenses. You paid yourself through a shell entity." Maya laughed, sharp and brittle. "It's not like that, explain it," he said. She launched into language she'd learned from podcasts and panels. Brand building, front-loaded costs, long-term return. She spoke quickly, overlapping herself, filling silence with confidence. My father let her finish. Then he slid the folder toward my mother. "Read," he said. My mother didn't touch it. "I trusted you," my father said to Maya. "I allowed limited access because you insisted your sister was bad with money." Maya turned toward me. "You told him that?" "I didn't tell him anything," I said. "I showed him what already existed." Her voice rose. "You're jealous." "No," I said. "I'm precise." My father stood. "This is not over." He gathered the papers. "The trustee will be notified. The account will be frozen. We will address restitution." Maya's face drained of color. "You can't do this publicly." My father looked at her. "This is not public." She laughed again, panic edging in. "Everyone knows about the party. People are watching." He didn't respond. I did. "Not yet," I said. They all turned to me. I stood slowly. "But they will." Maya's eyes widened. "What does that mean?" I didn't answer. Because the public moment wasn't this room. It was the one she'd already scheduled. The following night, Maya was hosting a live-streamed brand talk at the same venue, promoted across her platforms. Sponsors, influencers, an audience expecting a success story, and she had already announced that our father would be there. I picked up my bag and headed for the door. Behind me, my sister said my name for the first time that day. Not as a joke, not as a dismissal, as a question. I didn't turn around, because by the time she realized what she'd built that room for, it would be too late to close the door. The lantern suite looked different when the chairs were arranged in rows. A small stage had been set near the windows. 2 ring lights flanked a minimalist podium with Maya's logo printed on a foam board. A camera on a tripod pointed toward the stage, its red light blinking. Live in 5 minutes, according to the assistant pacing nearby with a tablet. I arrived early. Not early enough to be suspicious. Early enough to be seated. Maya hadn't seen me yet. She was backstage, voice carrying through the partition, laughing too brightly, rehearsing lines about access and alignment. The same words she always used when she wanted something to sound intentional after the fact. I took a seat in the second row aisle side. My father sat 3 chairs away, posture neutral, hands folded. My mother sat beside him, silent. The room filled quickly. People with phones, people with cameras, people who had followed Maya online and wanted proximity to her momentum. Someone recognized me from the party and nodded. I nodded back. At 7:01 p.m., the assistant counted down with her fingers. 3, 2, 1. The red light on the camera stayed solid. Maya walked on stage to applause. She looked composed, confident, untouchable. She thanked her audience, she thanked the venue. She thanked her support system, gesturing broadly toward the front row, careful not to say names. She talked about discipline, about building something from nothing, about knowing when to outgrow people who don't understand your vision. The chat on the livestream scrolled fast. Parts, fire emojis, comments asking how she'd done it so young. She smiled like she'd practiced it in the mirror. Halfway through, she said, "I want to bring up someone very important to me tonight, someone who taught me everything about responsibility and legacy." She turned toward my father, my dad. Applause again. My father stood and joined her on stage. He didn't smile. He nodded once at the audience and waited. "This," Maya said, beaming, "is what support looks like." She launched into a story about family values, about trust, about being given opportunities and honoring them. I watched the chat slow. People were listening now. At exactly 7:19 p.m., my father stepped closer to the podium. "Maya," he said into the microphone. Pause. Her smile froze. He turned to the assistant. "Please keep the stream on." The assistant hesitated, then nodded. My father faced the audience. "There has been a misunderstanding, and it needs to be corrected." Maya laughed softly. "Dad?" He raised a hand. She stopped. "I manage a family trust," he continued. "It was established by my mother. It exists for 2 beneficiaries." He looked at me. "My daughters." A murmur rippled through the room. "Over the past 6 months," he said, "funds from that trust were used without authorization." Maya's face drained of color. I stood, not abruptly, not theatrically, just enough to be visible. "I prepared a summary," I said calmly, "with dates." The assistant looked at my father. He nodded. She handed me a wireless mic. I didn't look at Maya. I looked at the camera. "On March 14th, I said $9,200 was paid to an LLC registered to this address. I named it categorized as consulting." A few phones lowered. Others rose. "On April 2nd, $11,600. Same entity." On June 9th, $14,800. On September 3rd, $26,800. Labeled Event Strategy. I turned slightly, gesturing toward the room. "Including tonight." Maya shook her head, laughing, a sound too loud for the moment. "This is out of context." "Everything here is documented," I said. "Bank confirmations, business registrations, payment trails." I paused, deliberate. "The trust account has been frozen." The room went quiet. My father took the mic back. "The trustee has been notified. Restitution will be pursued." The chat exploded. Questions. Shock. Screenshots already being taken. Maya tried to speak. The assistant hesitated. The microphone stayed off. She stepped forward anyway. "This is family business," she said sharply. "This doesn't belong here." My father looked at her. "You brought it here." She turned to me, eyes flashing. "You planned this." "No," I said. "You scheduled it?" I handed the mic back and sat down. The live stream ended 5 minutes later, abruptly. Not with applause. With confusion. People stood in clusters, whispering. Phones buzzed. Someone from the venue spoke quietly with the manager. Maya disappeared behind the partition. My father gathered his coat. My mother didn't look at me. Outside, the harbor was dark, the cold sharper than the night of the party. My phone buzzed constantly as I walked. Messages from cousins, from people I didn't know, from Maya repeatedly. I didn't open them. By morning, the clips were everywhere. Not dramatized, not edited to make anyone look cruel. Just facts. Maya's sponsors pulled out quietly. One posted a neutral statement about values alignment. Another removed her tag from a campaign. The LLC went inactive within a week. The trust's legal process moved forward without urgency, but without mercy. Numbers were adjusted. Access was restricted. Boundaries enforced. Maya didn't speak to me, not in anger, not in apology. She went silent. My father called once more. "You handled it correctly," he said. "You waited." "I always do," I replied. He paused. "I should have listened sooner." "Yes," I said. We ended the call without ceremony. Months passed. I moved apartments. Not because I had to, because I wanted space that wasn't built around old patterns. I kept my job. I kept my routines. I kept my records. At a family gathering later that year, Maya wasn't there. No explanation given. No stories told. No one asked me why. That was enough. I didn't win anything. I didn't gain visibility or praise or a platform. What I gained was clarity. I no longer attended rooms where I had to shrink to be tolerated. I no longer explained myself to people who confused quiet with weakness. And I never again mistook exclusion for protection. Because the night my sister told me I didn't belong, she showed me exactly where I did.